Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, where I am, I've been digging out of 16 to 18 inches of snow, and it's just been a wild weather stretch from the Northeast all the way to the deep South. But as weather had an impact, breaking over the weekend the story that the Pittsburgh Steelers have verbally agreed to hire Mike McCarthy as their next head coach. And that has really stirred up a hornet's nest among Steelers fans who are not happy. But what I'm reading on social media, Steelers fans wanted a coach with more sizzle, and McCarthy just does not fit that mold. I had a Steelers fan who subscribes to this newsletter text me saying that he wasn't happy with the hire and, in fact, disappointed. And I texted back saying, well, I'm glad that the Giants, as you know, I'm a Giants fan, hired John Harbaugh. I'm glad that because McCarthy at one point was mentioned as a possible head coach of the New York Giants until Harbaugh became available. But that led to this post on social media, which I find very fascinating. And, you've got to take a look because you're talking about Harbaugh, hired by the Giants. You're talking about McCarthy, hired by the Steelers, and take a look at how close their records are. I mean, you see McCarthy, first of all, let's do the age thing. McCarthy is 62. Harbaugh is 63. Not that is old in this day and age because, after all, Harbaugh's in tremendous condition. Harbaugh's got a workout regimen that, from what I am reading, is second to none. He's in just extraordinary condition. But anyhow, they're separated by just a year, in their early 60s. They're both old enough to collect Social Security. Not that they have to, but they're eligible. You look at the seasons as head coaches. McCarthy, 18 years as a head coach with the Packers and the Cowboys, and Harbaugh, 18 years all with the Baltimore Ravens. Then you've got wins. Pretty close, right? McCarthy, 174 career wins. Harbaugh, 180 career wins. Winning percentage, also pretty close. 608 winning percentage for McCarthy, is 614 winning percentage for Harbaugh. You look at their playoff records. McCarthy, 11-11 in the playoffs. Harbaugh, 13-11 in the playoffs. And oh, by the way, since the Ravens won the Super Bowl, Harbaugh is 4-7 in the playoffs, and that is with a premier quarterback in Lamar Jackson. Super Bowls, they each have won one. McCarthy won a Super Bowl with Green Bay. Harbaugh won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens. So the resumes are close, and the gist of the social post was, heck, the Giants just forked over $100 million to John Harbaugh on a 5-year deal, and McCarthy gets 5 years, but we don't know for how much. But the gist was, this guy, meaning Harbaugh, is worth $100 million. Take a look at the record compared to McCarthy. They're pretty similar. I don't know what McCarthy's going to make. I haven't seen a figure. All I've seen is that it's a verbal agreement for 5 years. And I would imagine McCarthy's going to be introduced at a news conference this week, and we might learn more. And maybe we know by now, as of this recording, how much he's going to make. But that doesn't matter. The bottom line is their resumes are really, really close. So what's all the fuss? Why? What's going on here? First, McCarthy, third oldest coach in the NFL now at 62. Oldest coach is Andy Reid. He's 67. John Harbaugh is 63. But McCarthy is a Pittsburgh native. It would seem that he fits the bill. He grew up a Steelers fan in a blue-collar family. Pittsburgh is a blue-collar city. His dad was a firefighter who also owned a neighborhood bar in the Greenfield neighborhood of Pittsburgh. McCarthy used to help out at the bar, help his dad at the bar, be sweeping out the bar and be watching the Steelers games. So he grew up a Steelers fan. You would think, to me, that is a perfect fit. Would it not be a perfect fit? I would think it would be. And yet there are Steelers fans who believe he's not the coach that they want, that he doesn't bring the sizzle. And maybe it's because he doesn't fit the mold of previous coaching hires. What do I mean? Steelers are obviously taking a different approach. They have always gone young and defense. Now they're going older and offense. And keep in mind, McCarthy is just the fourth coach hired by the Steelers since 1969. That is incredible. Just 4 coaches since 1969. And Chuck Noll was 37 when he was hired. Bill Cowher, 34 when he was hired. Mike Tomlin, 34 when he was hired. And all three of those coaches stepped down as Steelers coaches before the age of 60. And now you've got McCarthy, 62, and an offensive-minded coach, whereas Noll, Cowher, Tomlin are all defensive-minded coaches. So that's got, apparently, Steelers fans upset because the Steelers are changing the blueprint. They've gone from young and defensive-oriented to an older coach and offensive-minded. Now, does that mean Aaron Rodgers is going to return for a second year as Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback? You don't know. It's very possible that Rodgers will be back. I mean, Rodgers has been quoted as saying he wouldn't mind a reunion with Mike McCarthy. Remember, they were together with the Green Bay Packers. So maybe Rodgers comes back. But you've got to believe, and we won't know until you watch the news conference, that the hiring of McCarthy was more than, well, we'll bring Aaron Rodgers back for a second year because we're making McCarthy the coach. It's got to be more than that if you gave him a 5-year deal. Also fascinating because you look at the hiring of John Harbaugh, by the Giants, vis-a-vis the hiring of McCarthy by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers and the Giants are legacy franchises, and the owners of those two legacy franchises are very close. The Mara side of the Giants ownership and the Rooney family have been close for decades. I believe one of the Maras is married into the Rooney family, in fact. So they're very, very close. And you examine the hires made by the Giants with Harbaugh and the Steelers with McCarthy, and it's pretty close, isn't it? What's going to happen? It's going to be fascinating to watch. And I can't wait for the McCarthy news conference that officially introduces him as the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, the more you think about it, this guy is Pittsburgh through and through. You would think that the Steelers would be, the Steelers fans, that is, would be exuberant over this hire, but apparently they're not. They wanted somebody with more sizzle. Maybe McCarthy will provide that. He's not a bad coach, and you look at the record compared to Harbaugh's, they're pretty similar. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that by going to danonsports.com. That's danonsports.com. See you later.